Welcome to part 1 of the distributive property. We are on page 10, and we are going to be distributing negative values. Let's take a look at a few problems together. Then you can pause your video, give your teacher the signal that you're pausing your video, and work on these problems independently. When you're ready, you can turn your video back on and correct your work. But let's start with a few key problems. Let's take a look at problem number 1. We're going to distribute or multiply each term by a -3. Think of this in two ways. The negative will flip each term to its opposite, and the 3 is going to triple each term. Here we go. -3 times a +4. It will flip that 4 to its opposite, but 3 times 4 is 12x. -12x is your first term. Now, as we multiply that -3 times a -2, it flips that term to its opposite. 3 times 2, well, that's 6. So your answer is -12x plus 6. Let's try number 3 together. In number 3, we have a single y inside the parentheses. So let's add a 1. And we know that's positive 1y. We're going to distribute a -2 to each of those terms. The negative will flip those two positive terms to negative terms, and the 2 will double each term. Let's begin. -2 times 1 gives us a negative term, 2y. And then -2 times +3 makes that term negative, and 2 times 3 is 6. So we get -2y minus 6. Make sure you're sketching your arrows as we go through each of these problems. Now let's take a look at 5 and 7 together. For number 5, we see a negative in front of the parentheses. Please add a 1 right behind that negative symbol. We are distributing a -1 to each of those terms. Basically, that -1 will flip each of those terms to their opposites. So here we go. -1 times -3y gives us a positive 3y. And -1 times -4 gives us a positive 4. Easy. 3y plus 4. And lastly, let's take a look at number 7 together. On number 7, we place a 1 behind the negative symbol, and we can also place a 1 in front of the m behind the negative symbol. We're going to distribute a -1 to each of these terms. Basically, as we multiply by a -1, it's going to flip each term to its opposite. That +8 becomes -8. -1 times +8 gives us -8. And -1 times -1m flips that to its opposite, and it becomes positive 1m or plus 1m. Now, if you decide to write this in standard form and take your variable term to the front, this entire term travels together with the positive symbol. Basically, it's positive 1m. And we don't really need to write that positive symbol at the front. And that negative 8 goes to the back. The constant is written like that. Either way is correct. This second version happens to be in standard form. And you don't even need to put the 1 there. You could simply write m minus 8. Either way is correct. Now complete problems 2, 4, 6, and 8 on your own. In a moment, you'll pause the video. You'll signal your teacher you're pausing the video with your upside down raised thumb. And then at the end, you'll turn the video back on and correct your work. So, take a look at 2, 4, 6, and 8 on your own. Signal now and pause your video. Okay, let's check your work. As you distribute a -4 to each of these terms, you should get negative 8x minus 4. In number 4, after you place a 1 in front of the W and you distribute a -4 here, you should get negative 4W plus 24. Give yourself a C if each of those are correct. Let's check out 6 and 8. For number 6, you should have placed a 1 behind the negative symbol and used your arrows to indicate distributing. You should have gotten positive 2x minus 5. Give yourself a C if that's correct. And lastly, for number 8, you should have placed a 1 here and a 1 here. Distributing that -1 to each of those terms will simply flip each term to its opposite. You should have gotten positive 1z plus 10. You could have written it that way, or simply z plus 10 is correct as well. Give yourself a C if that's correct. This concludes page 10.